Wrong move. I'm a I'm unstoppable. Make the wrong move. Your ass is out.
All right, welcome back to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast, where beats meet bibliographies. I'm your host, Melanie, the Hip Hop Scholar, and class is in session. Before we even begin this conversation, I need to set the tone the right way. This next guest is not here to be softened. She is not here to fit anybody's expectations. She is not here to ask for space either. She takes it. And when she steps into a room, you feel it immediately. Alligator Alfred is a no-nonsense queen. She is sharp, intentional, fearless, grounded in her identity, and completely locked in on her craft. The kind of artist who stands 10 toes down in who she is and lets the work speak louder than anything else. You hear it the moment the music starts. In songs like Natural Born Remix, there is a confidence that cuts straight through the tribe vibes beat. The delivery is quite focused. The presence is undeniable. It sounds like someone who knows exactly what she carries and is not afraid to claim it. Then you tap into songs like Sugarcane and you feel something deeper: rhythm, soul, community, a sense of purpose moving through every single bar. It is not just performance, it's done with intention. Then there's songs like Get Back, where she rips through the microphone with a rapid cadence in her lyricism, rivaling many seasoned rappers in the underground and in mainstream combined. To say the least, Aïda is the absolute truth when it comes to rapping on any given beat. This is what separates real artists from people just making noise. Aïda's voice carries weight. Her pen is honest, raw, and disciplined. Every verse feels lived in. Every line sounds like it was written or freestyled by someone who understands the responsibility of the microphone. No gimmicks, no pretending, no shrinking to make anyone else comfortable. This is lyricism with backbone. This is artistry with teeth. She represents the hunger, the grit, and the fire that built this hip-hop culture. The kind of energy that does not ask permission to be great, because she already is. The kind that walks in, plants her feet, and shifts the room without saying a word. When Alligator Alfred speaks, you listen. When she raps, you better damn well pay attention. When she steps into the space, the energy absolutely changes. And this is not surface level hip hop. This is identity. This is discipline. This is a woman who knows who she is and refuses to be boxed in. And today, she is bringing that truth, that power, and that presence to the Hip Hop Scholar Podcast. I am thrilled to welcome the fearless, the unapologetic, the force, Aïda, the Alligator Alfred. That's right. Got Gertrude with you as well? Yes, ma'am.
So yes, my friend right here, my baby. First, let me gratitude between me and you. Gratitude for being the vessel right now that the universe just used to deliver all of that. Doesn't matter how confident we are, and it doesn't matter how humble we are. We still human. We having the human being, the human experience, and sometimes we still need to hear that reflected back to us, so we know that we are on the right path. Even if my intuition says I'm on the right path, it's always good to know that people on the outside can just get a look at me and they could get all of that. So thank you for just being the vessel for that message, because you never know what somebody might need to hear, because you don't ever know what somebody's dealing with internally, which is another reason I show up the same way, so I know when I'm amongst my kind. So gratitude. Like, my sincerest gratitude for you, to and for you. I really do appreciate that. Those words really resonated with my spirit, so thank you. I'm trying to learn not to say thank you. Somebody told me that thank you has a whole different etymology, so I'm working on saying gratitude more and more. So gratitude.
I like that. Not only gratitude, you can start saying you're welcome, because your presence is a gift as well. So you can absolutely add you're welcome to that while you're at it, Aïda. So thank you.
Thank you. My head is already big enough. I better not start saying you welcome. I would love to really be on that type of time, but I got to keep it humble because I know that this stuff is not nothing's promised. I show up and I know that I'm not necessarily better than anybody, but I also know my purpose and I serve it. So, that's all I could ask for, and I'm appreciative, and I really do appreciate when people that don't even necessarily know me, but it just shows how frequency relates, right? Frequency transcends everything else. It transcends the physical form. So it's like just to know that you all the way over there in Texas, and you never met me. Listen, I didn't pay this woman for this. I don't have money to trick to pay people to toot my own horn. So I really do appreciate that. I mean that from the top of my cunty little heart.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, your appreciation. And this podcast, this platform is to give reverence to real artists like yourself, to unpack your brilliance, to truly celebrate, in addition to archiving these stories. Like, you have a story to tell, and we need to learn from that. It is so necessary for us to learn from that. So as you're learning and navigating and having all these things for you, it's so important that you not only understand how wise you are, but how much we can learn from you along with that. So your vessel being hip hop, as both a freestyler and just this amazingness that you give to us, we got to start from the very beginning. My question I ask all artists: when did you fall in love with hip hop? What started it for you, Aïda?
Listen, I am musically inclined. I'm not gonna hold you. I think I started rapping at like 5, 6 years old. When Chris Cross had Jump, I'll never forget. I was in like kindergarten, and they had like a talent show. This is how like imprinted this is in my memory. And it was a group of the boys. They were in 8th grade, and they were performing Jump. I didn't know that it was like a song. I thought they made the song up. And I just thought it was so dope. And then my cousin was like, "Oh no, that's a real song." Da, da, da. And then that same day, I kid you not, we went home, and this is when our video music box used to be a thing, and the video was actually playing when we got home from school. It was kind of like the universe was like, "Yeah, like you love this song, and now what? Here's the video." And then I fell in love straight after that. And I'm not gonna hold you. I was one of those kids. I was always in trouble. So like when I would be with my cousins, I would make up songs about like our moms, our granny, and all of that. Kids are bad, and I would just be like calling them all types of bitches, stuff I couldn't clearly say to their face, right? And I would just put it in song. And I just had a natural knack for that. Even and then, I was horrible as a kid. Like if I didn't like you, I was making up songs about you, and then I used to have all the other kids singing the same songs about you. Like I was one of those, but like I was always musically inclined. And then the older I got, obviously, I started utilizing it for more right and just purposes, not just to be an asshole. But yeah. And I say this, I wish I could sing. Like singing, like I wish I had that gift. Like I come from a very musical family. My family's from the Caribbean, so they do like steel pan and all those kind of instruments. And my mom, she was trained in the choir, so she has like so I learned how to understand tone and instrumentation and all of these things from an early age. I can't do it, but I just have such a love and appreciation for people with the gift of song. And so I try to kind of like take certain things and put it when I rap. So like even when I'm rehearsing, like people catch me all the time. If you ever see me at a show, I'm rehearsing like a singer. I'm all in the wall in a space by myself, in a corner by myself, and I'm going over my lines. I'm doing like my breath work, all of that stuff. I just have so much respect for that gift, and I do know that and I say gift because people can sing, but everybody doesn't necessarily have the gift, right? Like when you got a powerhouse voice, the soul. That's like the difference. Listen, just a heads up. Like I'm always all over the place. No conversation with me is surface based. And I know you seem like a great interview, so you could bring me back down. I'm a Libra, so I'm always in the sky. So you could grab me
Take your time.
and be like, "Shut the fuck up, bitch." But I will say that's always the difference between like a Beyonce and a Jennifer Hudson, right? Beyonce could sing. I don't take anything away from her. I know she's a Houston girl, so I know I ain't trying to talk crazy about her because you might know her. But Jennifer Hudson, it's a difference. Like you hear, like you feel what she's saying. She could sing the ABCs, and I'm like, "Oh my God, did you fucking hear that?" You know what I mean? It's the difference between being talented and being gifted. I used to box. I could utilize boxing as an example. Floyd Mayweather is a gifted boxer. You have some talented boxers, but then you have people that were born chosen for their respective fields, and I always admire that. So I said all that to say I know that's how I am with rap. I love rap. Don't get me wrong, but like am I really, you don't consider rap like a real talent or a gift unless you just, you're a fan of the music and bars. But I also come from the time where everybody couldn't rap. Like you had to actually be able to rap, right? Like you couldn't just like, "Oh, I want to rap." Like if you said you could rap, like, oh, rap right now, right? You had to rap on the spot. I was also a woman, so like, it was different back then. I came from like I was at the tail end of like that golden era. I was born in 1985. I ain't gonna hold you. So like mid 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, like you had to get busy. You couldn't just say you rapped. So I said all that to say, so I do know I have the gift, and once again, I do appreciate people that are able to see that, because it's nothing for me to write like bars, right? Like wake up and write punchlines and be like, I rap better than you. But I don't, that I'm beyond that, right? I've superseded that aspect of rapping. Like I'm here to utilize my wisdom and actually, let the universe use me. Like you said, rap is my vessel. I'm just delivering the messages. Like I don't hate anybody, but either you were chosen for this shit or you weren't. And this is another reason why rap is in the state that it's in, because we have people like, I also don't knock the hustle. If I can't put money in your pocket or feed you, I can't tell you how to make your money. So make no mistake, I'm not here to judge anybody about how they getting their money. I just know that when rap was created, right, this was for the voice of the people. There was a reason this came from struggle, right? And this is why people from all over the world, and it transcends race, it transcends creed, gender, ethnicity, nationality, religious beliefs, because it's the spirit now, right? And there are people in a struggle at every part of this fucking world, and that's why they're able to relate to rap, because rap was like, this is our thing, right? It's the music of the people. Right now it's the music of business. Once again, I respect it, I get it, I don't knock it, but that's just my lane. And I'm a hustler, I got business acumen, baby. So I know how to kind of like navigate, the teeter-totter a little bit, and I know how to give people like, the stupid shit, but I kind of like, I package it, the spoonful of sugar with the medicine. So, and I like that you acknowledge that it's my craft. It is a craft. If you're a practitioner in any sort of, you seem very, very, I could tell this is wide open. So I think you know what the fuck I'm talking about. But this is one of my crafts, and I'm dedicated. It's the same way I wake up every morning, I fresh glass of water on my altar. I say, thank you, Ra, gratitude. Like I look out to the sun. I know that's God, and I give my respects. It's the same way I commit myself to rapping, because I know it's bigger than me. It's not just ego. It's not just, oh, she could get busy. Fuck all that. I got all of that shit when I was a kid. Now it's like, can you use what you have to actually make a difference and be impactful? I'm not a superstar, I'm not famous, but I kid you not, when I receive messages from people like from different parts of the world, different parts of the country, and they say, yo, peace, sis, I just want you to know, yo, I was checking out this and you said, and it really spoke to my spirit. Thank you. To me, that's priceless. You can't put a price on that. I would take that over millions any fucking day, because I'm gonna get my millions one way or another. It don't have to be from music. Or when I hear people, especially the men, they might hear some concepts I'm talking about, and they're like, yo, I never even heard of that. You made me go home and look this up. And I'm like, great, because now I'm the catalyst for you to start learning other things. Even certain things. Pardon me, my snake is kind of like up my butt. I don't know where she's at. Oh,
Where she went?
yeah, look at this. Crazy. People will learn like vocabulary words from me. They're like, yo, I never heard that word. And then like, I heard you say it. Now I use it all the time. I'm like, great. You know what I mean? Like I've always been a natural teacher. I would love to be a teacher. I see you a scholar, but I'm not paying these people money to get certified and prove to you I know what I already know. I also, they wouldn't have somebody like me in the schools, because I'm going to really fuck the system up. So that's another reason I utilize hip hop, because it's like, I know the type of person that listens to my music. They catch it. Even when you listen, I got whole records too. And even in the whole records, I make sure I do it in such a precise way, so like I could, scale the fence. Like I could talk the prostitute shit, but I'm giving you, it's like your grandmother. Like if your grandmother was a prostitute, she's a madam, right? She's not hooking no more. So she got all of that madam wisdom, and she could tell you how to utilize your feminine energy in a way that's going to be purposeful. So I really try to alchemize all of that stuff, and I take my life experiences and obviously things that I witness, things that I'm able to relate to, and I just try to like kind of, put it in a pot and let it come out. And for anybody that's ever paid attention to me over the years, like you could hear the progression, and even in how I rap, because I learned to I'm not gonna hold you. There was a point where I was super political, we got fight the power. And like, we ain't trying to hear that shit. And I get it, because growing up, I want the hardcore shit too. I grew up listening to Little Kim, Cameron, 50 Cent. I'm from New York, so like that's like my heart. But in the same token, I learned how to take certain styles and I know how to package my dope, I guess, right? So like I could give you the wisdom, but you're not even knowing that you're getting the wisdom. I also know it's it's alchemy, it's spell casting, so I'm making sure I speak to your subconscious. So certain things I might say, you might not realize at the time that you're listening to it, but that shit, I just planted a seed in your subconscious, and like maybe years from now, after you heard something I said, you know, the universe might bring something else to your attention, and then it's kind of like the ripple effect, so to speak. So I'm just here to do my part, and it's not limited to rap. You know, I try to do, hypothetically speaking, if I was just to meet you in the street and we just chopping it up, that's how I am naturally. I just always want to build and share information. I don't like to gatekeep information. I also don't like to force anything down anybody's throat. That's another reason, like, I don't go out my way to share my music. It's kind of like, if you come across it, I know the universe did that. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't do it. I wasn't in your DMs, yo, check out my new song. I don't knock people that do that. I just don't do that shit, because that shit is, I'm not begging you to listen to my music, because I also know what I possess. And either it's for you or it's not. You know what I mean? It just happens to be that it is for a lot of people, because a lot of people need that, especially now we in the age of Aquarius. The truth, slowly but surely, is coming out about everything. I just had a conversation with my homie this morning. And he was like, yo, A. He was like, yo, A, you was on the money about, or I was like, yeah, look how many people call me conspiracy theorists. Look how many people like stopped speaking to me because they were so gung-ho and emotionally attached to demonic systems. Fast forward now, slowly but surely, everything is coming out in the open. And I'm far down the rabbit hole too. I'm not like surface. Like I'm like, you know, we talking to reptilians, aliens, all of that shit. I'm like all the way down there, baby. I really know what it was. Even with the whole Epstein shit, I had the Epstein docs on my phone since 2021 when the military let that shit out. During the Biden administration did not release these files, but the military released the files. Like I said, I have it saved on my phone. I know who, I ain't gonna say names I know who's on that, because I read all of those fucking pages. So it's just interesting now to see things slowly play out. I'm like, yeah, I told you that. You ain't want to listen. You know, I'm adamant about the whole jab thing. I don't give a fuck. I never told people don't take the jab. If you wanted to take the jab, that's your business. I'm not, you know, like, to each his own, but for everybody to stand by and be like, oh, you got to take the jab or lose your job. I'm like, you fucking retarded, boy. Like, you, especially if you Black American, you understand Tuskegee. How did you forget the Tuskegee experiment? You know what they did to Black people. You know what they do to Black people time and time again. So for you to trust the government had your health, right? Like, they had the best interest for your health. And I'm like, bro, this is it's an immune system, right? So I'm like, why none of the advertisements were telling you how to boost your immune system? Nobody was telling you eat your fruit, right? They weren't telling you how to take care of your health. All the commercials, stay at home, wash your hands. McDonald's was open, Burger King was open, all of the fast food restaurants, the unhealthy shit was open, but then they want you to go to the gym. You got to have a COVID vax. You got to wear the mask and do all this extra shit. I said, but am I, like, you guys are fucking retarded, baby. And when I use that term, I don't use that term for people that genuinely have like developmental delays. I use that term for people that I know you fucking capable of doing your own fucking research and thinking for yourself and using critical thinking, but you're so indoctrinated and programmed, you don't even take it upon yourself to do that, which if you're an adult, like I said, I can't tell you how to live, but a lot of these people have children, and a lot of these people are in positions that they're amongst children, and you relaying the same information to children. Now it's the repetitive cycle. So if everybody always want to talk about, we got to break the cycle, da-da-da, you had the opportunity to do all of that, and you ain't do that, right? You had the opportunity to be a revolutionary. You had an opportunity to show that you were a leader. You had an opportunity to show you were an entrepreneur. For the so-called gangsters, I ain't gonna hold you, even in New York, like all of the same people that be out in the street doing all of that during the pandemic, I was like, you inside? You now you listening to the government? You don't listen to the police for shit. You destroy your neighborhood left and right. Now all of a sudden you give a fuck about people? I was like, this is crazy to me. Like I said, it doesn't matter what side you fell on, just the fact that you could allow the government on a global scale. Hi baby, come, you can go to bed. Pardon me, I got my other best friend over here. But you wanna say hi? What? You wanna say hi? Just say hi. No?
Come on, say hey, come on.
Say hi. You wanna say, all right, you wanna take Gertrude? Oh, be careful because the kitty's on the bed. You wanna hold Gertrude?
Okay, they can come later on. Tell them they can come talk to us later on. Yeah.
You want to say? You can just say hi. You don't have to get on the camera. No? Okay. All right, Shy. Pardon me, but it's like, yeah, like, but like I said, like on a global scale, like everybody allowed this to happen, and it's yes, baby. No, we're not putting her in that. She has to stay warm. Okay. Come, I told you I had the thing. So you want to hold on to her? Okay. Here, play your Roblox. I'm sorry.
No apologies. No, ma'am. I understand. I just want to, with everything that you're saying, and I want you to continue. I just want to jump in just a little bit because what you're saying, all the wisdom and wise sayings, because you do have a pinned comment that's like 100 weeks ago that is that's exactly.
So I was on that type of time. This is not new. You know what I mean? Like I've been on that
Yeah.
type.
And with that, when I saw that comment, and I was like, man, this is happening like years later. But it all starts with what you just said about being that lyricist, listening to Chris Cross back in the 80s. I'm a little older than you, but at the same token, though, back then we didn't have the cell phones. You didn't have anything. You could either rap or you would get laughed at. And having that bravado to be able to have the confidence to step in, especially as a female in them days, because we had Queen Latifah, we had MC Light, we had Moaning Bell. They were barely gaining respect, and they were starting to scratch the surface at that time. So it speaks so much so to your leadership, even as a youth, Aïda, to go from there to where you are now. You're speaking a lot of truth. You're speaking nothing but truth. You're giving so much wisdom, so much knowledge, so much power. I adored when you said that you're not out here trying to promote your music and trying to pimp out your music. No, when I heard your music, it was on the fly on someone else's story. And as soon as I heard it, it captured my attention like immediately. And you are absolutely correct when it comes to what you say, the power in which you say it, and the non-negotiables in conducting your research and having this information. You're not new to this. You are absolutely true to this, and people are just now catching up to what Alligator Alfred been saying. They're just catching up to you now. And so I wanted to just say that piece. I want you to continue, and I am actively listening to everything. This is a very intricate conversation because everything about who you are, hip hop is just one domain of that. This is just one facet or one outlet of yours for you to share out your message. And it definitely I can see that and listening to that. So you can continue to give us the knowledge, especially with how you manage to balance it all. You carry yourself with such strength, courage, and wisdom. Why is that? Like, where does this strength come from to ensure that you are head ready and physically ready, being a boxer as well? Where does that inspiration come from to be all the things at all the same time?
Um, so real quick, I'm gonna answer that, but also I love that you reference
Yeah.
like Queen Latifah and MC Light because those are some of my favorites. Also Salt and Pepper and Yo Yo. I know Yo Yo's from the West Coast. I'm a New Yorker, but I love me some Yo Yo. And it's so crazy that as even now they genuinely don't even get mentioned in people's like top five, right? When people talk about their top five, they'll bring up the Biggie, the Tupac, rightfully so. I'm not taking anything away from that, but they don't even mention a Queen Latifah or MC Light. And I'm like, I'm not saying you got to mention the women now. I understand now we at we in the prostitute era. I get it, but we didn't come from that. Like I came up listening, at least with me too, because I was born in '85, so I had the balance, right? We had Queen Latifah, we had MC Light, we had Yo Yo, we had Lauryn Hill, the same way we had Little Kim, we had Foxy Brown. So we weren't just bombarded with one archetype, right? We had everything. We
Right.
had that balance, and even listen. First of all, let's think about like how powerful UNITY was, right? That was such a
Mhm.
powerful song. Like, I mean, you could bring it up right now and it's still gonna apply to today's age, right? Because it's also timeless. Because that's a real those are things that women go through. And I'm like, so when people talk about females in rap, I'm like, you act like we didn't have women actually doing this, and you still don't give it up to them the way you should be giving it up to them. So I just wanted to say I love that you mentioned them because yeah, we gotta salute them. Now as far as me, listen, like everybody else, I'm not gonna hold you. I probably got the same story. I come from a broken home, the single parent home, parents not at home. If you are the archetype of person, if you and your cousins were raised by your grandmother at some point, so because your parents are not necessarily suit to whatever it is. There's a lot of things you learn being around old people. I came up around like my earliest formative years were around my grannies and my granddad, so like I have a lot of those older I guess euphemisms like just like embedded into my mind. But in addition to that, I think also I know who I am spiritually. I know I say this all the time. This is my last time on this realm. Like after I
Mhm.
transition, I don't have to come back here because I'm doing everything I have to do. I'm adamant about resolving all my karma. So I say that to say I have an old soul. Even as a kid, I just knew things, right? And as I didn't know why back then, but like in hindsight is 2020, as they always say. So I know, like, my soul, and it's encoded in my DNA, obviously, because I've been here multiple lifetimes. You know how old black people like, oh, they've been here before, kind of thing. It's that same notion. And so I think I carried a lot of that wisdom also. But just life was never, listen, life has always lifed me. Like, I don't hide that. I just don't. I'm very much, I'm a Libra too, so I'm an air sign. So, I kind of like, I keep everything in house, and I really work on. And I know part of it was probably trauma too. Like, you kind of learn to just shut up and deal with your shit silently because nobody gives a fuck. So you got to just figure that out on your own. I was just always very fortunate. I've always been very perceptive and above average in terms of my intelligence. I just, I was quick and I knew certain things, especially when you come up in, when you come up in a broken home, there's things you learn way before your peers, right? Because if you don't go home to love, like, and I mean, like, when you don't go home to love and like, it's just you, like, it's, listen, spirit always took care of me. I've always been in tune. I'm, like anybody that's ever around me, the type of like supernatural experiences we have together. And they always be like, damn, hey, here you come with that fucking spooky shit. I'm like, it's not me. It's like, I'm just a walking fucking vessel for that. But they always took care of me. I'm very adamant about that, which is why I'm really committed to my higher self. And I'm committed to always showing love to the cosmic realm because I know what they did for me when I was a little girl and I wasn't an adult, so you can't talk back or do, what I mean? Like, you got to stay in your place. I also probably didn't have the vocabulary to articulate what I know now, but I just knew what I felt intuitively. And music was always my outlet too. Like I was, but I swear my cunt, by 11 years old, by the time I was in 6th grade, and because I used to listen to Tupac too, and that's another, I'm from New York, right? We Biggie, Bad Boy, and all of that. I was the only Tupac fan probably that I knew of. And it was because his life was, life lifed him also. And he put all of that in the music and it really spoke to my spirit. Listen, I love the Biggie, I love Jay-Z and Bad Boy and all of that growing up. But Tupac, his spirit spoke to my spirit because I came from that darkness, right? Now it's like, it's a beautiful thing now because kids now can speak about this, right? Like, you don't have to kind of hide and shut up, but you come back, especially back 70s, 80s, like, you can't talk about what goes on inside your house. You better, you got to keep that shit under wraps. So a lot of times you don't know what certain children are dealing with, especially if you don't, like I said, if you don't go home to love, there's a lot of things you learn. And like, I do acknowledge partial, probably even now how I conduct myself might still be a result of like residual trauma, but I don't project that. Like, I don't walk out into this world. Listen, I say this, I don't look like anything I've ever been through. Like, and I don't conduct myself like anything I've ever been through. I definitely, and I'm not, I give grace to people, right? I know everybody's not on my type of time. I also know, like I said, a lot of souls, even if they're older than me, their souls are younger than mine, right? So they're not going to be privy to certain things that I know just off a rip intuitively. But like I said, I've always been graceful. Like, I'm like, nah, like, you're not gonna, because I'm also not gonna give you my emotional cheat code. Like, I'm not giving you the key so you could fuck my world up. Nah, we're not doing that, baby. Like, I had to learn from early on. Pardon me, I'm gonna use foul language. Don't repeat anything I'm saying, okay? Okay. But like, especially when you were a kid, right? And then when you're dealing with certain adults that they don't factor in your emotions or your spirit. It's kind of like, do as I say, not as I do. But when you old and you learn, they were also dealing with their stuff, so they didn't know how to parent correctly or do certain things correctly. So like I said, I'm very, very, very perceptive, and I picked up on all of that, and I kind of knew how to play the part. The DSM, I'm not gonna hold you, I don't fuck with the DSM at all, but I do know they would probably clinically classify me as a sociopath because, like, once I decide to be detached, I can do something like wicked, and I'm not gonna feel away. Because, like, once I make a decision, like, nah, like, you got me to this point, I was graceful. Now, when I decide to hit the button, I really don't feel away. Like, the eye for an eye, tooth for tooth, that doesn't work with me. You take my eye, I'm taking everything. Like, my granny used to always tell me when I was a kid, she was like, you have to stop. She was like, you take it too far. And I was like, yeah, but they started with me. And her thing was like, but you know better. When you know better, you're going to have to suck a lot of things up in life because you know better. And obviously, I could tell you a natural leader. Even in school, right? Like, teachers used to, you the ringleader, da-da-da. So, like, and I would get in the most trouble. I'm like, yo, all the other kids are doing the same thing. But there were certain teachers that were cool enough to pull me to the side. Not usually the black teachers, right? And they're like, baby, I'm not, you have a lot, the kids follow you. They clearly, they follow you. Like, I know you're not trying to force them to follow you, but whatever you do, a lot of the other kids kind of just naturally follow. So you have to be responsible with that. And I was also that kind of kid. Like when people actually took the time to speak to me, I was receptive to it. I wasn't the type of kid you could hit and I'm gonna like straighten out. Like I learned how, okay, cool, I could take the licks. Like I ain't gonna cry, like hit me all day. Cause then I learned how to weigh the consequences. I'm like, is this action worth getting hit for? Yeah, I wanna do this. I'm gonna take the licking because I wanna do this. So like the actual hitting never really, like I was immune to it. But when if somebody was to say, I'm disappointed in you, that would hit more than me getting hit because I was very, very smart. So I'm like, wow, like I disappointed somebody I really respect and looked up to. How can I rectify that? Right. And then obviously when, when the older I got, like older kids in the neighborhood, like the gang leaders and all of that, or like the older girls that were like, what I mean? They dating the drug dealers, like the actual leaders, they would put me to the top like, yo, like, I love how you conduct yourself. Like you're not a follower like the other kids. And they would just give me gems just off of GP because they saw I conducted myself. By the time I hit like, like college and young adulthood, the older people, they gravitated towards me because they saw like, wow, like you only 21, you only 20, but you know all of this. And then naturally they would start sharing more gems with me, right? Because you can't cast pearls before swine, right? So I know they would probably be around my peers and they would see people with me and be like, and they wouldn't tell them the stuff they would tell me. And now looking at it, I'm 40, I see I do the same thing. When I catch like somebody that's in like in their 20s and I'm like, wow, like you, and I show them the love because I'm like, yeah, because you got my kind of spirit. And then same thing, and I share the gems and all of that. Not to say I don't share gems with anybody else. I'm gonna always share the gems, but I also know everybody's not ready to receive it, right? I'm one of those
Right.
people. I'm not gonna force feed you. I'm gonna put all the food on the table with the utensils. You are more than welcome to feed yourself because I'm eating. But I'm not gonna eat in front of you and not let you get no food. I'm gonna eat in here. The food is for you, but you might not want the food, right? It might not be like up to your palate, right? your palate standards. I don't know. So that's really how I utilize the gem. So part of me, like, I ain't trying to necessarily get too personal about things. Just know I came from darkness, but I was a light bearer planted in that underworld, spiritually speaking. And what you seen is just kind of like I'm on the other side now, but I never forget like what that side was like. So I'm able to relate to people. And I always make sure that with the music, I put that in the music. So even if I'm having fun and talking my shit, I want to also let you know, like I've been through it. This, I guarantee you, I'm not doing a comparative struggle, but I guarantee you there is nothing that you've been through that I haven't been through or worse. And I'm a woman, you a woman. So, sometimes men have that preconceived notion that, because they don't know what I've been through. It's like, try being a woman, right? And try dealing with same things you've been, but like in addition to that, we got to deal with, let's be real, like sexual trauma, sexual assault, and not to say it doesn't happen to men, but if we're doing the ratio, right, it's more women than men, right? So it's like, and you got to walk with that, and that's something that's gonna fuck with your spirit. It's not just like your emotions and your mentality, yes, that too, but it disaligns you spiritually, right? And to get yourself back in alignment when you're dealing with certain things, even from like a psychological aspect, like if you understand like everything is according to epigenetic stages, right? So if you are stagnant in one epigenetic stage, even the older you get, it doesn't matter. Your brain is still stuck at that one stage in life. And until you actually rectify that at your subconscious is going to be ruling all of that, right? Because, your subconscious mind rules the conscious mind. So even all of our behaviors are down here. And these people with the powers that be, they know that, which is why they do all the conditioning, the programming, the indoctrination, because they going right down here, into our programming, right? And if you don't take the time to deprogram yourself, to detox, to do whatever it is you need to do, you always going to be repeating the same habits, the same cycles. And no matter how, there's so many ways to articulate it. We could use psychology. We could use religion. We could use a spirituality. We could use like if you God body or you've been around the 5%ers having knowledge of self, it's the same notion. We could use alchemy. We could use what's the other notion? So it's not coming to me now. Pardon me, it's evading me. But there's so many different terms we could use to explain the same thing because it's all semantics. But people are also emotionally attached to whatever way they learn, right? And whatever way they learn, they think that's the only way and that everybody else is different. It's like, no, we all saying the same thing. We all been through the same thing. It's just we speaking it in a different language. And until we realize that we are the same at the core, what we seeing now is always going to be like this. So I really just try to be like a unifier. I don't like being divisive. Don't get me wrong. I'll cut you off if we're not compatible, but I'm not going to be divisive. I'm not going to tell other people not to fuck with you. I'm like, that's your business, but I don't fuck with that person. You know what I mean? So I hope that makes sense. I know I'm like, I'm trying to convey everything I know. My brain is like one of those, like, it's like, I got to catch the thoughts and say it.
Yes, ma'am. I'm right there with you with everything that you're saying. I am actively listening. I really feel like also being kindred spirits when it comes to, hip hop saving lives and being something that allows us to express ourselves through the trauma, through the tribulations, through the issues that people don't see because we won't show it. Right? We
Exactly.
can put up this facade to have this strength. You just said I look like a leader, and there's days and times where it's like, I'm going to be that. I'm going to always be that. But when people give their sob stories, I'm like, get a T-shirt, get a mug. We've been there and done that. Not new to this, damn sure true to this. So I understand exactly where you're coming from. I live in Texas now, but I am from Louisiana. So when you
Oh,
talk about all the different intricacies of all those different things, yes, ma'am. And I feel like too, this connection and having this conversation, I'm thankful that you trust that I am listening and I am learning. Every single word that you're saying, Aïda, I am attuned to it. And I want for you to be comfortable. And when you brought up that Tupac Shakur, that was something I was thinking about when I was putting my questions together for you to talk with you, is that you do give this rose from the concrete. You evoke that, where you are this delicate, beautiful woman, with your beauty, yet at the same time, you are ready to rumble with anything and everybody as it comes. You're not gatekeeping anything, but you are definitely showing up and saying, this is the truth, this is what it is, this is what it's not going to be, this is non-negotiable. And I really appreciate that of you, and I want for you again to use this opportunity to say exactly what's on your mind, to explain all of those nuances of what it comes to. I'm not going to stop you, not at all, because I'm listening, and I want for my audience to hear exactly how you are making these connections in everything of you, including your music. And you're not just the music. And I wonder if there was ever a time when you were like, you know what, I don't even want to do the music anymore. I want to be able to do this and do that. But did that ever come about where you were like, you know what, I don't want to do the hip hop anymore, I don't want to do the music, but then you said, no, I gotta do this, they need me in the hip hop realm? Did that ever happen?
I love that you spot on. That's how I know we are aligned, baby. I definitely I kind of like abandoned rap for a small portion of my life. I want to say like my early to mid 20s, and the reason being it had nothing to do with like what I was doing, but same thing, being a woman. And this is before like the prostitute ever. So I came around. I remember every time I had like offers on my plate since I was like 17 years old. Okay, since I was a senior in high school, I met with A&Rs. So I'm talking about from like Def Jam, from like Atlantic. Like you know what I mean? Like I've been around that. But I think what it was is that a lot of people never expected to be me to be as smart as I was. And so I always saw through things, and there was certain things I just wasn't willing to do. Now, as a woman, I'm not gonna hold you. 9 out of 10 of the men, anyone that I came across, whether it was other rappers, whether it was producers, A&Rs, or anyone pertaining to the industry, it was they all had ulterior motives. It was like they tried to date me, or they wanted to do more. And when I wasn't interested, I got blackballed. I'm talking like I wasn't. They didn't let me go to the studio anymore. They wouldn't send me my music that I recorded. They would probably put the word out to other people like, oh, like don't fuck with shorty kind of thing. It was like men are very, not all, I know not all, I'm just talking about like a certain archetype of men. They're very bitter, and that's really how they conducted themselves. I also remember the flip side of that, the ones that didn't necessarily have ulterior motives, they were kind of like, oh, you could rap, but what do you think about sexing it up? How you think about you changing your style? You a little too raw, sex sells. Like that's what they kept going with. I also know I'm not the only woman that was met with that. I know all my contemporaries of those eras were met with the same thing, and you kind of either had a choice, like take that bait or go into the underground, right? And I'm fortunate, I'm from New York. A lot of women, they were like, nah, fuck out of here, and they stayed with the underground. And what you seeing now, you see a lot of them now like really circulating and doing their thing, and it's a beautiful thing to see because they never sold out. They never compromised themselves. In the same token, I'm not gonna say names. I know certain women that's on now, and I know why they're on. I don't knock it, because my thing is, you were willing to do something I was never willing to do. So I can't be mad that you got in a position that I'm not in, because I wasn't willing to do that. I really don't hate the play. I don't even hate the game. I just understand the game, and I play it the way I want to play it. But yeah, I definitely, I like I said, I abandoned rap at one point, because my thing was like, if that's what it was, I'm not going to go far unless I change my style and do the sex. I'm like, nah, I'm good on that. But like anything else, you know, when you meant to do something, you even when you give it up, it's still gonna call you. So like I was still my homeboys, well, yo, hey, we in the studio, yo, come. You know, I'm like, all right, cool. I would go rap a little bit for fun. Let me out rap these niggas because they can't rap better than me. And then like over time, it kind of just like, you know, it was like, nah, like you know, you got to do this. And then like I said, with more life experience and certain things, I was like, oh yeah. Like I can't not do what I'm supposed to do. Even now it's crazy because like I know I'm living my purpose, but I also know there's certain things I still haven't opened up about in my music. And I'm like, I'm not rapping about that, but I'm sure maybe like 5-6 years from now, I'll probably be, you know, I'll probably be a little more mature and I'm willing to do that. So I say that to say I'm still at kind of like at the beginning of my journey in that. But yeah, I definitely kind of was like to rap at one point. But I'll say this too, if for anybody that watches this interview, whatever it is you know that you're chosen for, don't let these men scare you out of that. Don't let them, you know, don't let anybody, and not just men too, because they're probably women doing the same thing too, right? I'm not gonna hold you. I just never experienced being around those women, but I'm sure they were women on that same type of time, you know, telling the women that too. But yeah, and it's not limited to music. Whatever you know you chosen for, don't let anybody take that away from you because God, Allah, the universe, Buddha, whoever it is that you know, exalt, they put something in your heart. If they put that in your heart, that's what you're supposed to be doing. And we've also seen a lot of people, think about how many people now, right? They work whatever job they work and they're not happy. And it's not about like money. They probably got bills paid, everything, you know, on paper, everything is good, right? But internally, they're not happy because they're not doing what they want to do. And I'm not saying quit your job and do something, but like, the people that work the 9 to 5s, right? But also have hobbies on the side and they have like passion projects. Those people are so fulfilled because yeah, my bills are paid, but I'm also like, that's not my life. This is not me. That could be a job. It's not necessarily my career. It's not my calling. And they work on their calling on the side. I'm just fortunate. I always kind of like, fuck y'all. I'm gonna follow my calling, even with boxing. When I was boxing, I remember it was the same thing. Like that's like I dedicated my life to that. When I was competing, like I wasn't drinking, I wasn't going out, I wasn't doing. My friends used to be like, "Yo, hey, you so boring. Like you mad pretty. We want to go be hot and you know be hoes and all that." I'm like, "Nah, I got a fight coming up." Da, da, da. And I was so committed. Because I knew in my spirit, I'm like, "Nah, this is what I'm supposed to be doing." And even in the boxing, also puts me in a position now. Like people are a little more they. Not that they're intimidated, but they listen to me. Because, listen, at the end of the day, you know when somebody could really take care of themselves, I think you're more prone to listening to what they have to say versus like somebody that's a pushover, right? I'm not saying, like, I'm not intimidated in a way, like, I'm not a bully. Like, that's one thing I don't do. And I also, like I said, I don't impose anything. But I think people get around my spirit and they can see, oh, no, she doesn't play about who she is or her spirit. And so they're more willing to listen, even especially the younger girls. Because I was also a young girl. I know what it's like when you're young and the older women try to give you some, man, fuck that old bitch, right? Like, that's why I also never force things. Because I'm not like, I'm like, y'all young girls ain't going to say that to me. Because I'm like, who you calling old, right? Because I'm going to check you. But I think because of how I carry myself, I'll be like, yo, peace. And they're like, oh, nah, thank you so much. And they're very appreciative of what I have to say. But I think it's because even before I say something, I think they just have a spiritual respect for like my aura and what I give off. And then obviously when people find out like I rap or I box and it's like they kind of put me in like they think I'm like this aggressive person. I'm really not aggressive in my nature. I promise you, I'm the most loving person you will ever meet, but I have to be able to protect that, right? Like if you're a religious person, you know your Bible. Jesus was flipping over tables. People like to tell, oh, turn the other cheek. If you read your Bible, first of all, Jesus crashed the stock market. Like if you really know your actual text, Jesus was not some like, oh, you know, look at some hippie. They try to portray him as like some kind of hippie. I'm like, nah, he was spiritual and he was conscious, but he was a warrior. Like but they purposely don't teach you that obviously too, because if you knew the concept, because you know, like that's the story of Horus and all of that. So if you truly knew like who these beings were, right? Like, you know, you would flip the church over because especially knowing what they do, right, with the pedophilia and all of that traffic. You know, the Vatican, the Pope, they down with all of that stuff too. You know, I brought up Lauryn Hill. You remember at one point Lauryn Hill had called out the Pope, and not the Pope, yeah, the Pope, the previous Pope, right, in the Vatican, and that's when they tried to paint her as crazy, and then they said she owed money and taxes and all of that. I said she always owed that money. You never cared about getting that money until that woman started calling out the Vatican, right? So it's one of those things. Everything is connected, right? And Asada Shakur in her book, she said they teach us in unrelated fragments of knowledge when everything is connected. So, right. So when you go to school, they teach you, you got to go to science class and you got to go to math class and you got to go to social studies or history or whatever it is. But what they don't teach you is all of those subjects are interconnected at some level, right? Like you need to know how to read, right? So you read and comprehension, right? How you going to read equations? Because every math problem is not just numbers. Sometimes it's like the actual, that they give you like the word problems, right? Like if Timmy had this and da, da, da. So you still have to be able to read, right? It's the same notion. If you want to do a science experiment, you have to be able to read, right? You got to read what's in the science book. Same thing. You got to be able to add, to subtract, to multiply. I'm not saying you got to do the crazy equations, but you want to count your money. How you going to count your money? You don't know how to count your money, right? You don't know anything. You don't know basic math. How you supposed to, we getting money, but you can't even add. Right? So it's like, this is crazy to me. Listen, we come from civilized people, right? If you know who you really are, you know who civilized this world. You know, like, what you seeing now, these people, they're retarded, man. These people come from caves, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful either. I'm not saying this on a I'm not trying to be tribal. This is not what my point. I'm just saying, like, when you truly know who you are, I got a record, and in my record, I said, teach them that they're gods. They won't have to prove that their lives matter. And I meant that. When you teach children who they really are from the beginning, and you program that subconscious, they're not walking around with a victim mindset. You also know the power of your thought is what creates your reality. If you get the collective consciousness to believe one thing, that's going to be the reality, right? So it's like, now we got to get back to that. Even when I remember when I was younger, and my mom used to have an issue because she talks very proper, right? My mother's black, right? And so people are like, oh, she talks white. And my mom never let that fly, because her thing was like, white people don't speak proper. Like, though you give them way too much credit. They don't deserve that credit. They didn't create any of this. And she was always adamant about that. And she was like, also like, why shouldn't black people be proud to speak? Like, black people are civilized. Like, you trying to like make us fit into the stereotype. Looking back, that was a stereotype they created, right? Because they wanted to propel a certain kind of image, and it's effed up. But a lot of a lot of melanated people fell for that, and they repeating that. And now what you see, and fast forward now, and now you complaining about the results of stuff that you also enable too. You got to be accountable for yourself too. You can't just be pointing the finger at the man. What about you? And what about how you conduct yourself? Because if you think that these people taught you the language that you speak, are you kidding? Have you ever worked with them? They don't even know how to use a fax machine. They don't know how to conduct correct sentences. When you're in school, they tell you also, they be like, well, you got to work twice as hard. When you get into these corporate jobs, like for real, when you're dealing with like the CEOs, the CFOs, the principals and all of that, they don't do anything for themselves, which is why they have assistants, right? And the assistant is doing all the work and all the typing. If you ever got an email from a CEO, you see all the typos, you see the informal speech, and I'm like, what they told me you got to write correctly. You have to, there's no room for error. Like, you have to, right? They don't conduct themselves like that. And once again, they don't know how to use printers, fax machines, just like basic things. I'm like, how did you even get this position? And then you realize the notion, what they say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That ain't come from us, because we know stuff. You know what I mean? That came here. You taking it? That came from people that didn't know anything and had to utilize connections. I also don't knock it, right? Dr. Frances Cress Isaac's paper, she also broke that down psychologically. She said they are genetically endangered, which is why they move the way they move. They move collectively, no matter what part of the world you in. White people move in the same type of time because they also move off of symbols. And they know that they have to utilize everything they can in order to dominate other people, right? They consist of 1/4 of the population, the human population, but yet 1/4 of the human population dominates the rest of the world. Every part of the globe is melanated. How is that possible? You got to really like put the dots together. Pardon me, I know I sound like I'm ranting. I'm not. I just got a lot of. I always just want to like, give.
Yes.
And kind of like let people know how I got to where I'm at. I read a lot. I will never classify myself as a reader, because I only read like truth stuff. I don't care for fiction, so don't recommend me fiction books. Like, I like to know information because I want to be able to argue. I want to be able to tell. I told you I'm still a woman. I'm like, I told you so. You ain't listen to me. Well, here, you should have read this book. You should have did that. But it's crucial. It's crucial, and it's imperative that we do this. Each one teach one, as they say. Oh, that's very beautiful, baby. I like that. She's handcuffed. Pardon me, like I
Absolutely.
said,
Everything.
letting me talk, man. But like I know everybody's not ready, and just like I said, when I speak out of love. I'm passionate, but I'm not just know I have no hate in my heart. I don't say anything with hate. I don't say anything with divisiveness. I'm one of those people. We could have dissenting opinions, And I'm cool with it as long as it stays respectful. You could be passionate, we could both be passionate, but it doesn't have to be disrespectful. And I noticed a lot of people, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people didn't know how to disagree with someone respectfully. I'm big on we could agree to disagree. We're not gonna stop the fun time. If our disagreement is shifting the energy, now let's agree to disagree, because let's get back to being in love and unity and being harmonious. I don't want to argue with you. I can debate, we can have a discussion, but I'm not arguing. The second I see it's turning into an argument, I'm like, you know what, you good, you got it, you got it, you got it, you right about everything, I'm wrong, and I'm gonna walk away because I don't like arguing, man. That's not happening.
Right. And that's another wise saying that you said, Aida. Very much so wisdom. I want to address a couple of things because when you were talking about that educational piece about, everything is interdisciplinary, everything is connected. I've been an educator for 23 plus years, right? I'm a college professor now, but
Thank you.
teaching
Thank you.
literacy.
Pardon me. I'm not to cut you off. Thank you. Thank you. I
No,
salute.
thank
I
you.
really do, because y'all are the backbone. The teachers are the essential workers. I'm not trying to shade anybody else, but teachers, and you a woman, so you're the first teacher. Even before you walk in that classroom, you were a teacher, right? You were a teacher in your own community, in your own household. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for saying that. And, all of us, all mothers, all of us are educators. But when you were saying how all of the subjects are connected, it absolutely is. Research says that in order to teach children or teach people how to read, you have to teach science and social studies. That is the only way for someone to be able to understand what they're reading, is if they get this causal inferencing, which is common sense, the history from social studies, the scientific method in science, all of that is relative to reading. So, when you talk about like conspiracy theories, one of mine is that they try to break down these, categorize all of these different subjects and then put all of these different basal readers in schools that in campuses that look like us, and they hold them back because they don't teach the science, they don't teach the social studies. They just getting money for all of this, these different books and everything, and having all of these people that are non-melanated coming in and doing all of these different things, and it's not working because you're not teaching what is necessary, and that's all of the different subjects. And that's a whole nother conversation another time. And Aida, this is just going to be part one. We're going to have to talk again. You are spitting so much wisdom, so much like this is part one.
Nah, but I'm saying I
Yeah.
appreciate that, but I'm saying even off the record, I love this, and just know like we're good. You can hop in my DM. That's beautiful anytime, and we can continue to build, because I love this. This is something, because it makes me sharper, right? And the fact that you're an educator, I know this stuff that like you got a lot of wisdom that I could probably utilize and benefit from. So yeah, we're good. We are good. Just know I'm here for that.
Yeah, el mismo, igual, for real. Like, same for you, because like you said, being non-negotiable, having those boundaries, it doesn't make you unapproachable. It doesn't make you this mean, aggressive. They love to put that label on black women that we're aggressive, but being someone that has boundaries and is unafraid to make certain that I have these boundaries for myself and for others, that's something that you definitely have to teach. And I really appreciated when you talked about talking to young women, because there are some elder women that project this jealousy, or they have this negative way to talk to young women. And in all actuality, coming with peace, coming with love, giving the opportunity, like, can I share wisdom with you? And not thinking that I'm better than, but really wanting to teach and foster as you go along, because we've been there. And that's so important. That was great insight, this aspect of respect. And yes, this is a hip hop scholar podcast, but I want you to break this down too about respect. How can men, women, children, even children in this day and age, give us a step by step or just a procedure on how to demand and evoke respect in every essence that people walk in on a daily basis. Talk to us about how to make certain you have respect, whether it's in hip hop, whether it's at the job, or just period.
I think I'm gonna simplify it, because I really think it is this simple. I think the way you could build it is keeping your word to yourself. Most of us don't keep our word to ourselves, and that's why we just have like a precarious mindset a lot of times, because you might say to yourself, okay, tomorrow when I'm gonna do this, right? You could have a whole like itinerary of what you want to do the next day. You wake up the next day comes, you might have did like 2 or 3 of those things off your list, or maybe even none. And this is the average person. And so when you're not able to keep your word to yourself, you can't trust yourself. When you can't, when you can't trust yourself, it's gonna mess with you intuitively, because intuitively, man, I'm supposed to be doing this, right? So I think that's really where it starts. Once you can start trusting yourself, you're gonna have a different level of self-respect. Now, obviously, the mechanisms as to how to get there, that's a whole other ball game. That's not as simple, right? Because you probably have to build like a certain kind of routine. It's like fitness, right? I'm gonna say I'm fortunate because I box, right? So I take a lot of young girl. You see, we talking about respect. You're not respecting me. A lot of what I learned there, I can apply through every aspect of life, right? But especially the discipline. So like me, like I know me personally, like when I don't do what I tell myself I'm gonna do, I feel horrible. Like I can't account for anybody. And like even my chakras start, they become unaligned and all of that. Cause I'm like, I know I'm supposed to do this. So now I'm starting thinking, and now I'm mad, and I'm telling myself something, like I'm probably feeding myself negative words towards myself. Like, man, like, girl, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do that. And all of that. Okay. Pardon me. Listen, see, now I'm not playing, right? I told you I had something at 4:00, right? And I said, you could come down here, you could be on the phone, right? You could use the phone. Don't interrupt me. Stop, or else I have to send you upstairs. Okay? Do you understand? Thank you. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so like for me personally, like I said, so when I don't do what I say I'm gonna do, like it starts eating at me. And then over time, like those thoughts, even if I don't give those thoughts they're still somewhere in my subconscious, they still roaming around. So even by the time I go to sleep at night, now if I don't process all of that, that's what I'm thinking about. That's the playbook that's running on my computer while I'm sleeping. So while I'm not cognizant, it's still going. And then when I wake up the next day, I'm going to repeat that same kind of cycle, so to speak. So I think it's really about giving yourself a schedule and sticking to it, and also not beating yourself up too if you don't stick to it. But like I say, every small step builds the staircase, right? You can't start at the top. You got to start somewhere. We could attribute it weight loss and diet, right? You're not gonna lose all the weight in one day, 1 month. Like it could take years, but you have to really commit to that. But when you really love yourself and you're like, no, this is what I want, like if you go to the gym, right, there's a lot of people, men and women, they might be self-conscious about starting a gym membership, right? And they thinking about, because now you think, what do other people think? You're not there for those other people. Like that's one thing I got to say. Like you there for yourself. You got to always remind yourself you showing up for you. And when you do that enough times, then it starts to become a part of you, right? It's all repetition, because now the brain is a computer, right? So you have to program your brain in that way. So even with self-respect, like I said, how you conduct yourself. Me personally, I don't like when people talk down on me. I don't like when people are passive aggressive. Like I could run down a laundry list of what I don't like to receive. So now I have to make sure that I don't do that to other people, right? Because then it's like, how can I get upset when this has happened to me, but I do that? So I'm very accountable with how I show up. Same thing. New Yorkers are rude. Like sometimes things happen. I have learned over time, everything is not worth even like addressing, right? Like you got to understand, like you got to utilize your energy correctly. So sometimes somebody might do something and I might want to say something, but then I catch myself, because I'm like, you know what? Like, what is this going to what's going to come from this? My ego might feel good, but like, it might turn into something, and I could fight, but it's like, but do I even want to do all of that just based off of like something I could have just been like, whatever, it's not even worth it. And I have noticed that because I kind of have like a very calm era, and I'm very like, aura about me, other people see that, and then it starts to create a ripple effect where they it's kind of like I feel a nice calm energy off of them too. I kid you not, like I say this too. When I look good, and we women, right? We know when you look your best, like you look good, you feel good, right? You know when you do your hair, you do your makeup, and you walk out your house, you happy to be, you ready to help everybody, because you want to be, you like, I look good, I want to make sure everybody see how good I look. But now it incites you to be more polite to people, right? More manly, because now you happy, right? So now just because you're happy, naturally speaking, you want to be helpful to other people, right? Like I'm one of those, when I look good, I kid you not, I'm very conscious about how I show up. I make sure that when people come across me, even I'm not like, oh, she's attractive, you're never going to see me in my ego. I'm going to make sure I hold the door for older people. I'm going to make sure, oh, you get on the train before me. Oh, I help you with your bag. Like I'm a woman, but I'll still do healthy masculine things, because I'm letting you know I'm a beautiful woman, but I'm not in my ego. I'm willing to do the work. I'm willing to show you I'm humble. I'm just like you. And when I swear to you, when I show up like that, I could tell the people like, oh my, it feels good. Think about like when a beautiful woman compliments you. Think about how good you feel. Like, oh my God, that beautiful. She's not a bitch, right? It's just that's the power of feminine energy. It's not limited to beauty, but I'm just saying we all love beauty in its own way. And when beautiful energy shows up,
The powerful wisdom and words from Aïda, Alligator Alfred. We have been blessed on this platform today, Hip Hop Scholar family. Y'all check out the music. Y'all check out the links that are here in the YouTube description. Aïda, I do want to give you the last word to end the platform today. You have the mic.
first and foremost, let me just express immense gratitude to Melanie, the hip hop scholar. I really and sincerely do appreciate you having me on this platform. I always love to come and speak about rap, but I'm an authentic person, and for me, like when I get to actually just build and speak on, wherever the stream of consciousness takes me, and the person is receptive to it, and then also can reflect back to me on the same kind of timeline, I'm appreciative of these kind of builds. I know how important it is to build. I'm a builder in nature, right? I know destroy and build and all of that good stuff. But as far as what I have to leave the people with, listen, always aim to be the best version of yourself in whatever capacity you can be, because if there's one thing that reigns true, this is a scientific fact, this is proven in metaphysics, right? We create our reality. When you show up as your highest self, you attract that in every aspect, whether you're talking romantic relationships, friendships, business relationships, employers, or just overall life experiences. I know it sounds like mumbo jumbo. I understand what it means when you're going through it and you can't, like, you're not going to be able to relate to that. So I'm not trying to push that, but I swear to you, when you just make a small, simple change, a small adjustment in how you think, you can shift an entire power dynamic in your favor. And like it's scientifically proven, but like I really just want people to understand that you won't complain about other people when you focus on yourself and you focused on doing what you need to do for yourself, even when you're going through it. But if you commit yourself to it, and essentially when you get to that other side, or slowly but surely start to get to the other side, it will reflect back to you, kind of like give you like the mini validations of letting you know like you're on the right path. But if every single person lived their life like that, we would not be in the world that we are in today. But I know I know that's the direction that we're headed in. I also understand, like, listen, good can't exist without evil. It coexists. The higher nature has to exist with the lower nature. We just have to learn how to alchemize those lower nature behaviors and habits and characteristics for our own good. Because like I referenced earlier, like Jesus, yes, he was righteous, he was conscious, but Jesus also, he was fucking shit up. And they won't teach you that because they want you docile, they want you meek. But when you know that as a natural warrior, you have to be able to protect yourself. You look at ninjas and the Buddhist monks, right? How they monks, but they could fight. The Shaolin monks, excuse me, but they practice Buddhism and all of that. That's a way of life, but they are trained to kill people, right? But that's not how they lead. They lead with just like taking care of the earth, and that's another thing. And I'll say this: Muhammad Ali, he said that service is the rent that we pay for being here on this earth. Whatever you could do to lead a life of service in any way, shape, or form, even if it's something as small as like, asking a little kid how was their day. You know what I mean? Something you don't know how impactful that could be. It goes a long way. So you might not give a fuck, and that's cool too, and that's your life. But that's really all I have to say to anybody watching this. Fuck the music. Like, if it catches you, it catches you. But it's bigger than that. So thank you again, Melanie, for having me on here. I'm looking forward for the next show. But sincerely, I really do appreciate you even taking the time to. You came across me, but then you actually went and listened to what I was saying. That means a lot more to me than you'll ever know, because I really do. I put myself in my music. So it's more like when people don't like my music, I'm not going to hold you. I know it's not a reflection of me, but I still take it that way. I take it like you don't like me. So when people do like my music and they like what I'm saying, I'm like, oh, so you paying attention to what I'm saying. And I appreciate that, because, I understand the power of frequency and aligning and all of that good stuff. So thank you. Gratitude, pardon me.
Gratitude back to you, man. Thank you so much for your time and your energy and your spirit here on the Hip Hop Scholar podcast. With that said, family, we are out of here. Peace.